I used to be the poster child for an avoidant attachment style. And if I'm really honest, I was a fearful attachment style, which is the absolute worst, because that means you oscillate between avoidance and anxious. So how did this get set up in my childhood? Because as you know, this stuff almost always comes from childhood. Well, when I was 8 years old, my parents took me from my small town in Georgia. We moved to Zambia because they became missionaries, and I was sent to missionary boarding school, away from my parents and my siblings. In addition to being physically away from them, there was no phones, so I could have no even call to them. And our letters were censored. So they only wanted us to write pleasantries. They didn't want us to write anything that might upset our parents. So that means I had no real emotional connection with anyone. And the girls were kind of mean, so that kind of kept getting broken more and more too. So as you can imagine, I definitely had some abandonment issues when I became an adult, and that showed up inside of romantic relationships where I was very insecure, very anxious, and it was just this horrible feeling that you have when you're insecure and anxious in a relationship. Now, the avoidant part kind of got more established because in addition to boarding school, after that, my parents kept moving around a lot. So every time we moved somewhere, I would begin to make friends. About the time I started to feel comfortable, we would move again, and that bond would get broken, and I'd have to start all over. So I feel like it kind of broke that part of my mind that was able to form deep connections and bonds. And I didn't realize till years later, there was a wonderful family that let me live with them in Georgia, and I didn't really get it that they cared so deeply for me, like a daughter. And in my mind, easy come, easy go, you make new friends. And I didn't understand that I was really being that emotional avoidant, not letting people in, and it definitely hurt people. So it can be changed. I found some wonderful tools to change it in my subconscious. And my children really also were the biggest thing that cured that for me, because I finally made a deep, lasting, permanent connection with another human being in the form of my precious babies. But so it can be healed, it can be changed, but caveat, you can't change it for someone else. So if you're dating an avoidant, you can't change them. We can only decide that we want to do the work to change for ourselves. And then, of course, that can happen, but it is sometimes a formula for absolute misery, disappointment, and repeated hurt. If you're trying to change another person that has one of these patterns, it can't be done from the outside. So if you're interested in learning how you can move beyond these patterns and genuinely heal them in your subconscious, check out the link in my bio, and I'll see you real soon.